how I went from restricting my food, fearing food, literally tracking every single gram of food that I consumed, being terrified to go out for dinner, being so meticulous with every single diet plan that I was on, fearing cooking with oil, being scared to eat certain foods, hating my body, just being so restrictive and spending years and years and years over exercising, to binging and feeling out of control with food, to then now being almost 4 years completely binge free, no urge to binge, no thoughts around food 24/7. How I actually got here, just feeling so effortless with food and just living life where food and calories are not on my mind 24/7. I want to share with you how I specifically got here, because it's so crazy to me. Like, a part of me is like, it feels so crazy that I'm here, because all I knew for 10 years of my life was restricting and fearing certain foods and then feeling out of control with food and binging. Like, all I knew was this restrict, diet, binge cycle. And for me to be here, like, having a healthy relationship with food and being able to, maintain a binge-free life for 4 years, it feels so surreal, but also it doesn't, because there were specific things that I did to get me here. I didn't just, fingers crossed, I didn't just hope and pray that I would get here one day. Like, I actually put in the work. I used the proper tools, and I want to share with you my journey, my story of how I've been able to heal my relationship with food and stop binge eating. So back in 2016, that's really when, I started when I was 2009. I was literally fearing certain foods in high school, but 2016, that's when I was tracking all of my food. I would literally be weighing out every single thing that I was consuming. I remember on Sundays spending the entire day meal planning, meal prepping, and tracking my macros in advance. And I'd make my meals for the entire week so that I didn't have to worry about falling off track, because I didn't trust myself. So I'm like, if I plan out exactly my meals, exactly what I'm gonna have for breakfast and lunch and dinner, and I know all the macros, then I'm not gonna fall off track. And it's so funny how it's so funny how we think, I thought in order for me to stop binge eating, I just needed to control my food even more, when really the more you control your food, the more out of control you feel. But I didn't know that at the time. I was like, I just need more control. So I'd be packing my meals for the week, and I would write on the containers, breakfast for Monday, Tuesday lunch. I would be planning my meals like a crazy psycho person. I would be so meticulous. And of course, I would spend all day Sunday planning my meals, and maybe, Monday I'd stick to the plan, Tuesday I'd stick to the plan, and then Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, I'm like, I don't even want these meals anymore. And I'm like, I don't even want this. I'm like, that doesn't even sound good. And then in my mind, I'm like, Lorna, you spend so long on Sunday planning everything to a T. You can't fall off track. You can't just have a different snack. You already know the macros of all these meals. You can't fall off track. And obviously that created so much pressure for me. And what I would do is I would just say, well, screw it. I'm just not even going to bother eating the dinner that I had planned or the snack for later on. I'm just going to call it a day, and I'm just going to binge, and then tomorrow, hopefully I'll get back on track. And so I was meticulous with my food. I was weighing myself every day. I was a slave to my scale. I would wake up every single morning and I would step on the scale, and I kid you not, as soon as that number on the scale went up, it was literally, hey Elizabeth, it was the worst freaking day of my life. It would be 6 a.m. And I'm like, it's the worst day of my life. And because the number on the scale went up, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to do more cardio. I need to over-exercise even more. I need to restrict even more. Oh my God, I planned to have a cookie today, but I probably shouldn't have the cookie. Or it would go up and I'm like, well, screw it. I'm never going to be able to reach my goal, so I'm just going to binge tonight. So I had such a bad relationship with food, but I also had a bad relationship with the number on the scale. And all I cared about was what I was eating and the way that my body looked. I was known as the healthy one in the friend group. I was known as the fit one in the friend group. And every single time I'd be around my friends, which I would almost like never eat in front of other people, because that was also something that was very hard for me. Like, I was terrified to eat in front of other people. Like, I don't know why. It was just like so scary. I felt like everyone was just like judging me, and like there was like a million eyeballs on like how much I was eating and what I was eating. And I was so scared to eat in front of other people. But when I would eat in front of other people, it would only be like my healthy meals, because everyone knew me as the healthy one. So I would order the salad and I would just have the fruit, no dessert. And then as soon as I would get home, I would binge on all the things that I wanted to eat, but I never allowed myself to eat in front of other people. And this was going on for 10 years of my life. I even got into like Beachbody, 21-day fixed portion containers, intermittent fasting, keto. Like when one diet didn't work, I was like, well, maybe that's not the right diet for me. Like maybe this other diet is going to work for me. And so it transitioned from like meal plans to macro tracking to 21-day fix to keto, then intermittent fasting and carb cycling. Like I was always on some type of diet. And always spending hours in the gym, because that's what I thought I needed to do to control my food. That's what I thought I needed to do to be smaller. Many of you guys know my story being called fat in grade 8, and I was terrified of having that phrase or that comment be said to me again. So I did everything in my power to try to be smaller. And I remember thinking to myself, like, what the heck is wrong with me? Because every diet that I tried, I would be able to stick with it, but for such a short period of time. Whether it was like a few days and then I would fall off track, or it'd be a week and then I'd fall off track, or it'd be a month and I'd fall off track. And I'm like, how come other people can go on these diets and they're like, stuck to my macros, like like I stuck to all my macros today, or like the number on the scale is going down. Like, how can some people just diet so easily? And then there's me, who literally, I would be like off track every single day, or I would tell myself that I was tracking my macros, but I would be eating and not weighing the food that I'm eating. And I'm like, Lorna, you're not even tracking your macros. Like, so no matter what diet I was doing, I would never be able to stick to it. And I just thought like there must be something wrong with me. Like why can't you stick to it? Everyone else can stick to it. Even going out for dinner made me so anxious. I felt so bad. Andrew loves going out for dinner. Now I love it. But when I was dieting before, I used to never want to go out for dinner. It was the scariest thing for me. I needed to know a week in advance where we're going, what time we were going, what the restaurant was, so I can look up the menu and try to plan accordingly my macros. I never forget this one Halloween. And when Andrew and I first started dating, he was never on his phone. And I needed to know what restaurant we were going to, because I needed to look up the menu ahead of time to see like what I can eat for breakfast, or should I even have breakfast? Like, I needed to know what the menu was, what I needed to order in order for me to stick to my macros. And he wasn't answering his phone. And the entire day I was so anxious. Literally, I was so anxious the whole time. I had no idea what time dinner was. I was like starving, because I'm like, well, you don't want to eat because what if it's going to be an early dinner? Like, you don't even know what the macros are. Like, I was driving myself bonkers. And literally every single time that I would go out for dinner, I would just order this lowest calorie option, whether it was like a plain steak or it was like a salad. And then I would just come home and binge anyways. Like, so many times I would spend all day planning what are the perfect macros. My mom would make a homemade crock pot meal, and I'm spending hours trying to like divide the whole amount by, okay, how many servings? And I'm like trying to do math. I'm not a freaking mathematician. I'm like trying to do math, and I'm like, I just want to be able to eat. And after spending so long telling my mom, like, why did you make this recipe? Why did you bake these cookies? Like, I'm on this diet, whatever it was. And I'd be so meticulous, to then only, after spending so many hours stressing out about everything, I would just binge later on. So it's like, it didn't even matter if I had 5 extra almonds for lunch because, Lorna, you're just binging on thousands of calories later on at night. So after spending so many years just like being so restrictive, I started having these urges. And the way that I can describe these urges, it was like this pull to just go into my cupboards and continue eating. Like my whole family, we would sit down, we would all eat our meals, and then my family would just go off and like my mom would clean the kitchen, my dad would go in the office, my sister would go out with her friends, and me, I'd be back in the kitchen. I'd open up the fridge, like what else can I eat? I'd go into the pantry, what else can I eat? I wasn't hungry, but I felt like this weird pull to just keep on eating. And I felt like nobody else did that. I'm like, normal people eat a meal and they move on with their day. And then there's me. And it wasn't even like unhealthy stuff at the beginning. It was just like, I finished my meal and it was like, okay, I'm going to have some yogurt with some fruit. And then I'm going to have some granola. And then, I'm going to have a cookie. And then I'm going to have some ice cream. And then it was just like this nonstop thing. Like it was just like this pull to keep on eating. Like this urge to just keep on eating. And I remember some days eating until the point where I felt so sick. Like I would be bloated. I'd feel so uncomfortable in my own skin. I felt like a freaking failure because I knew what I was doing wasn't right, but I didn't have control. I knew that I was eating past fullness, but it felt like I didn't have control. Like somebody else was controlling my body. I'd be sitting there, 1 cookie, 2 cookies, 3 cookies, 4 cookies, 5 cookies, and I can feel my stomach getting so full, but I couldn't stop. And I couldn't tell this to somebody. Like, who am I gonna tell? Like, by the way, you guys, like, I just had 15 cookies today. Like, who am I gonna tell this to, right? So I felt crazy. I felt absolutely broken. And, my poor partner, like, I never wanted to be intimate. Like, I would always make up these excuses as to, like, why I didn't want to, leave the house. I didn't want to be intimate because I just felt disgusting. And I felt ashamed of what I was doing because all my binges were done in secret. Nobody knew. Everybody thought I was healthy. Everybody thought I was the healthy one in the friend group, the fit one in the friend group, when little did they know behind the scenes, this is what I was doing. And so I started to realize, okay, Lorna, something's going on here. You're not lacking motivation to stick to your diet. You're not broken. You're not weak-willed. You have an unhealthy relationship with food. After spending 10 years yo-yo dieting, going from this diet to this diet to this diet, 10 years yo-yo dieting, you now have an unhealthy relationship with food. Like, you don't need another diet. You need a better relationship with food. You need to actually get rid of your urges. You need to learn how to make peace with food. You need to stop feeling guilty about eating certain foods. And so when I had this realization of, okay, Lorna, you don't need another diet. You don't need to try harder. You need a better relationship with food. January of 2019 was the year that I committed. And I was like, I am freaking done with weighing my food. I am so done with tracking macros. I didn't want to be thinking about carbs, macros, calories, MyFitnessPal. I didn't want to be thinking about that ever again. I didn't want to spend hours over exercising ever again. I didn't want to be stepping on the damn number or the damn scale to see the toxic number on the scale. I didn't want that anymore. I was ready to just eat like a normal person, like my family who can have dinner and then move on with their day. Like, I just wanted to eat normally, without thinking about food and calories all day. And so in January 2019, that's when I committed to this better relationship with food. And you guys, like, the craziest things started happening when I started actually focusing on my relationship with food and not dieting. I was able to go out for dinner with my husband, which used to give me so much anxiety, order pizza, even if my husband was ordering, a salad, or he was ordering, salmon with some rice and some vegetables, like a healthier option, I would order the pizza and just finish however much I could finish and leave the rest on my plate, and then come home and not have this desire to binge because I was actually satisfied. I would be able to be home alone, and that would be always a trigger for me to binge, and I wouldn't have this desire to go into the kitchen. I'd be able to, make pancakes in the morning on a Sunday morning, make some pancakes for Andrew and I without weighing out my peanut butter, without telling myself only 1 tablespoon, without tracking my macros. Like, I could just eat normally without weighing my food and actually be able to just stop when I'm full. Like, I started getting my hunger and fullness cues back. I started to have less urges. Like, the craziest things started happening when I was healing my relationship with food. I'm like, this never happened when I was dieting. Every time I dieted, I felt like I just was even more out of control with food. I had more urges when I was dieting. I was thinking about food with every single diet that I went on. I was binging more with every single diet that I went on. And so this started happening, and it was like one thing happening. I would eat some chocolate without feeling guilty. I'd be home alone, no urges to binge. I'd go out for dinner without stress and anxiety or without having to look at the menu. And this just kept on snowballing. And now it's been 4 years since I've binged, and I've been able to maintain it without reverting back to old habits because I'd done things sustainably. But how I got here, you guys, was I put in the work. I committed to a better relationship with food. I didn't just try harder or try a different diet that hopefully would work. I stopped the dieting because I knew that it was destroying my mental health. And as much as I care about my physical health, as much as I care about, feeling good, looking good, having health and fitness goals, I still care about that. But what I no longer cared about was obsessing over the number on the scale. Like, I chose to start eating intuitively. I started listening to my body instead of my fitness pal. I ditched the toxic scale because I knew how much of an impact it had on my mental health. It made me crazy. It made me think about food and my body so much more. So I stopped the dieting. I started healing my relationship with food, and these things started happening. Like, all these things with my relationship with food that I never thought was possible. Like, having no urges to binge when I was home alone and going out for dinner without stress, those are all things I dreamed of, and I was experiencing it. But I'm not surprised because I put in the work. I healed my relationship with food. I didn't try to figure this out on my own. I knew so much about health and nutrition, and I'm sure you do as well too. I knew so much about, this is what you have to eat, this is what you don't have to eat. I knew what to do. But I was always self-sabotaging, and I realized that healing my relationship with food was very different than going on a diet. So I invested in myself. I learned the proper tools. I got the proper support. I was part of a community of other people who got me. And this makes the biggest difference. And I was actually just talking to one of my clients, and she came onto the podcast, and she was like, the biggest reason why I'm able to barely have any binges, I don't even feel the urge to binge. I'm able to go on my honeymoon and with my husband to Belize and be so present, not even binge, even though it's all inclusive, because of the community. Because of the community that I've created. When you are part of a community of other women who are on the same path as you, they know what binge eating is. You don't have to try to explain what binge eating is. They're not going to just tell you, watch your portions, don't eat so much. It's like they get you. They're there to lift you up. They're there to encourage you. They're there to help you feel less alone. Everything changes. I've seen this with myself, right? I went from literally having daily binges to no binges because I was part of a community that actually got me. I learned the tools, and there was accountability of everyone utilizing the tools, everyone taking action, everyone showing up for themselves, healing their relationship with food. You know how inspiring it is when you're beside somebody who literally is in the same place as you were at the beginning, and they're showing up and they're making progress, and they're like, I haven't binged in a week. I was able to go out for dinner and order the pasta dish without feeling guilty. You're like, oh yes, if she can do it, I can do it. She's doing that? Oh, well, that's possible for me as well too. And then you hold each other accountable, and you celebrate each other, it's like you're in constant momentum because of the community. So when I was going through my journey, I realized community was very important, but also learning the proper tools. Because like I said, healing your relationship with food is very different than dieting. Dieting doesn't teach you how to have a better relationship with food. Dieting doesn't make you feel less guilty. Dieting doesn't get rid of your urges. Dieting increases your urges. Dieting makes you feel bad about what you're eating. So you need the community piece. You need the tools, right? You need support. You need accountability. You need to learn how to reduce impulsivity. You got to learn how to heal your relationship with food. And so when I was healing my relationship with food and I was part of this community and I was learning the tools and I had the community, I had the support, and I healed my relationship with food, I was like, this is what people need. This is why I created the Academy, because all of those things transform my relationship with food. I didn't try to figure this out on my own. I didn't just continue to diet. I needed to heal my relationship with food. I needed to be part of a community that got me. And so the Academy is my 4-month signature group coaching program where you learn all the fundamental tools to get your hunger and fullness cues back so you can eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. How to actually trust yourself to know how much to eat without weighing, tracking, and measuring your food. How to be able to eat healthy because it makes you feel so good. You have energy, you're productive, but also if you want a piece of chocolate with your lunch, you can have it without feeling guilty or without spiraling into the all or nothing mentality that, oh, I already messed up my diet. Screw it. The rest of the day, I'm just going to binge. And then tomorrow I'm going to get back on track. I help you trust your body. I help you make peace with trigger foods. I help you get rid of your urges. I help you rewire your brain out of the diet binge cycle so that you don't have to be weighing and measuring and tracking your food. So you can go out for dinner spontaneously with your friends or your partner without looking at the menu a week in advance to then only order the lowest calorie option, then come home and binge on what you really want to binge on. The Academy is all of the core tools that you need to end binge eating for good. We do things sustainably in my Academy. There's no quick fixes here. We cover it all. I teach you how to stop the nighttime binges, how to stop self-soothing with food at night when you're bored or you're stressed, how to stop self-soothing with food at night, how to heal body image, how to get rid of your urges, how to be able to eat intuitively like a normal person. All of these foundational tools are inside of the Academy, and then you have the community to celebrate you, right? To cheer you on, to be there, to encourage you, to lift you up on those maybe not so good days, and then celebrate you when you've had a binge-free week so that you can stay in momentum. The Academy is personalized coaching with me. This is not a one-size-fits-all approach. You come on Zoom with me, you ask your personalized questions, and you get a custom game plan for you. Whether, like you're one of my clients, and one of my clients was struggling a lot with nighttime eating. It's like she would be able to eat healthy all day, but then come the evening, that's when she would just binge, she would snack, and she's like, I'm not even hungry. Like, it's so habitual. I helped her rewire her brain. She doesn't binge at night anymore. One of my clients, she was somebody who every single time she got stressed, she would self-soothe with food. She didn't know how to regulate her emotions. I helped her regulate her emotions. Now she can be stressed, angry, lonely, and not self-soothe with food because she knows how to work through and process and manage and cope with her emotions. So if you are truly fed up with dieting, you're like, I don't want to be on a freaking diet ever again. I know that I'm feeling impulsive with food. I am ready to heal my relationship with food because I know I don't want to be spending years and years and years yo-yo dieting. I'm ready for a better relationship with food. I'm ready to do things sustainably. I want to eat like a normal person. I'm tired thinking about food 24/7. This is truly the place to be. The Ditch Decade Diets Academy, my 4-month signature group coaching program, is truly the place to be. You've got all the tools to become less impulsive with food and end your binging for good. You've got the community support. We do breathwork sessions every month to regulate your nervous system, help you become less impulsive with food, better cope with your emotions without turning to food. You've got a custom game plan. I'm in there literally every single day supporting you, giving you that customization, giving you a custom game plan. This is not just a program where you learn information. This is where I help you implement. I did a podcast recording with one of my clients, and she's like, the biggest difference between being in a program with you and, being in the academy was really the customization. This is not you just learn information. The academy is where I help you implement the tools, because how often do you know what to do, but then it's like there's a disconnect between actually doing it, right? Or there's fear, right? Like for me, I needed this level of support, because when I was on my journey, it's like I knew that I needed to start, not giving into my urges, but it was challenging. But I had the community and I had my coach walking me through it and supporting me along the way. There were times in my journey where I knew the tools, I didn't want to implement them. But I had the support, I had the accountability. I had a customized game plan for me specifically. Everyone has very similar things that they're working towards: becoming less impulsive, eating without guilt, right? Not thinking about food 24/7, but there's certain things that you could be experiencing right now that you need hands-on customized support with. When I healed my relationship with food, this was the type of support that I got. That hands-on, personalized, customized coaching, and that's exactly what you're gonna get in the academy. So I just want you to imagine for a second, like inside of this program, what I can help you to do. You can wake up in the morning. What do I feel like for breakfast? Okay, I want some bacon and eggs, and I want some toast with some almond butter and a banana. And you just make it without thinking twice. You make it without having to weigh it out. You make it without having to only have 1 tablespoon of almond butter. You make it with only having half of banana, because you're like, I want the full banana, and you trust your body. It's late at night, it's 8 o'clock at night, and you're able to watch a movie with your partner without constantly thinking about the ice cream that you have in the freezer. You're able to go out spontaneously for dinner dates with your partner and literally order what you want and not have to worry about finishing your entire plate, because you feel your hunger and fullness cues, and it's effortless for you to listen to them. No matter how good the food is, you stop when you're full. You take the rest of the meal for leftovers tomorrow, and you eat it all because you don't have the all or nothing mentality anymore. This is what I can help you with. I went from having daily urges to binge to no binges in almost 4 years. I can help you get here, and I'm so excited. So if you are wanting to learn more about the academy, you are ready to become less impulsive with food, you're ready to eat normally, you are ready to stop thinking about food 24/7, you want to stop secret eating, you want to be able to stop eating when you're full, this is truly, truly, truly the best place to be. So if you want more information, you can DM me Academy, and I'll send you all of the details. I am just so excited. I've had so many clients say, Lorna, I knew that I was going to come into this program and you were going to help me with my relationship with food, but you changed my life. One of my clients, I just mentioned this at the beginning of this live stream. She was like, I was able for the first time to go on vacation with my husband on an all-inclusive restaurant and not binge, because I'm so present. I'm intentionality. I tasted the food, right? I've had clients say like, I've been able to actually be so present with my partner. I have a better intimate life with my partner because I'm not self-conscious. I'm not binging all the time. Like I actually want to be intimate with my partner. Your life, your relationship with food can change the moment that you decide to say good freaking bye to yo-yo diets, good freaking bye to diets, and hello to a better relationship with food. So I am so excited. You can just DM me the word Academy. I cannot wait to support you. This this is such an intimate group. I get to know you. I get to give you personalized coaching to heal your relationship with food. It's going to be incredible. So I am so excited. I cannot wait to support you inside of the Academy. I hope to see you inside. Any questions, please DM me. If you just message me Academy, I'll send you all the details. We can make sure it is the perfect fit for you. So thank you for being here. I love you. A binge-free life is so much closer than you can actually even realize. Bye, guys.